earlier this morning, Israel's Security Cabinet gave their approval on the hostage and ceasefire deal that negotiators had worked out between Jerusalem and Hamas. The deal was then advanced to the full Israeli cabinet, which just hours ago gave its green light. So, have we really reached the end of this 15-month war that started with Hamas's attack on Israel? Well, joining me now to discuss this is Chris Mitchell. He's the Middle East Bureau Chief for CBN News. Chris, as always, thank you for joining us on Washington Watch. Hope you're doing well.
Doing well, Jody. Hope you are too, and great to be with you.
Well, it's pretty exciting times right now for Israel and the world, and for many here in the United States as well. So the vote was originally expected yesterday, as we all know, but it was delayed after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu claimed that Hamas had sought out some late concessions. But both sides have now confirmed, as I understand, that the issues have been resolved. So what were those issues? Where do we stand now, Chris?
Well, we don't know all the details of why the government delayed it for one day, but we do know that it likely, I believe, on Sunday, some of the hostages will be released. There's certain to be very, very emotional scenes of families being reunited after maybe 470 days. I would say, Jody, this is a very, very difficult time for Israel and the Jewish people. Excited, relieved that some of the hostages will be released after the horrific conditions they've survived, but also gut-wrenching that they know other hostages do remain. And the deal as it's set up right now, Jody, with maybe about 1,000 Palestinian prisoners, many Israelis know that historically those prisoners go back to committing terror attacks. And so unless the deal doesn't go through and these Palestinian prisoners are not released, it's likely that other Israelis or Jews will be subject to terror attacks by these Palestinian prisoners. You can go back historically to 2011 when one IDF soldier, Gilad Shalit, was released for more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners. And importantly, one of those prisoners was Yahya Sinwar, who eventually became the head of Hamas in Gaza, who masterminded the October 7th terror attacks, the worst since the Holocaust. So it's a very, very difficult time for Israelis to both relish and celebrate the return of some hostages, but also know that this is a very difficult deal to swallow. And they're looking forward to this is not necessarily the end of the war there in Gaza.
Well, it is a bittersweet. I can't imagine what the emotions are going to be like, and with that reuniting with families that you described. As we all know, Sinwar is gone. Israel has shellacked so much of the infrastructure of the terrorist Hamas and Iran. I mean, on and on and on we could go. Hezbollah. Are you saying that by the release of these terrorist prisoners that they've not learned a lesson? Or do you and others there in Israel fully anticipate another attack?
Many people do believe after this 15-month war plus, it seems like Hamas hasn't changed its ideology, that it continues to do what it can, not only to survive, but also to reconstitute itself, to be able to commit another October 7th. You would think after being, as you said, shellacked in so many ways and so long, they would change maybe their ideology, but they haven't. And we understand that that Hamas has been recruiting new members, even though the IDF has reportedly killed maybe 15 to 17,000 of Hamas members. Part of this deal also, Judy, is that maybe 600 trucks per day will be going into Gaza. What happens to those trucks is Hamas actually has been stealing many of those trucks. They sell them. That's how they get much of their funding right now. And so they will be able to be continue to rearm and rebuild, given this the details of this plan. And you know, unbelievably, after so long and so much destruction, inside Gaza and damage to Hamas. They're still there, and one of the two of the main goals of the war, right after October 7th, were Hamas would be defeated militarily, and also they wouldn't be able to govern Gaza after. Some people believe this deal puts those two goals in jeopardy. This ceasefire will last, I believe, for 42 days, and perhaps the war can begin after that. And we do have some reassuring statements by incoming National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, who says part of the guarantee, in his words anyway, that Hamas won't be able to govern Gaza again. That's a bit reassuring, but some people are still concerned what this means for Hamas continuing to survive.
What have others throughout the Middle East, other officials in particular, been saying about this?
Well, we know there's celebration in many parts, certainly in Gaza, and Palestinians in Judea and Samaria, known as the West Bank, but also in Iran, they're celebrating, and different parts of the Middle East. Qatar is celebrating. They're part of the mediators, is Egypt as well. So this sends a signal to many in the Middle East that really Israel is weakened by this. They're claiming a victory despite all the damages and destruction that they've endured. Hamas is still claiming victory and committing themselves to continuing to come after the Jewish people and the state of Israel. Their agenda remains the same, Jody. They want to destroy Israel. They want to reclaim Jerusalem, and they want to kill the Jews. And that's been part of their charter, part of their raison d'etre, and they pledged to continue that after the ceasefire.
Wow. Yeah, it really is amazing. I read that the foreign minister of Iran is saying just what you said, that all of this really means that Israel has surrendered to all of this. I don't know how in the world they come to that conclusion, but assuming, and this is another thing, but assuming that Hamas holds to the agreement, which is not a 100% guarantee, isn't this rolled out in phases? What are those phases that are involved in this?
The first phase should be 33 hostages released over 42 days. And then the second phase, which is to be negotiated during phase number one, would be eventually the end of the war. That is what Hamas is hoping for during phases 2 and 3. And that to many Israelis would be really disastrous. Jody, there's one group there in Gaza, in Israel, that is, that are opposed to this agreement. And this group is family members of those IDF soldiers, men and women who have fallen in Gaza. And they believe that their sacrifice, they don't want it to be in vain. In fact, there's another group, some of them actually family members of hostages, that don't want they don't want Israel to negotiate with Hamas. In fact, there's a story that we have heard, Jody, of a father and son at a Shabbat dinner. And this is before October 7th. And the son said to his father, listen, if I am ever kidnapped, I don't want you to negotiate for my release. And so that is sort of a perspective and a point of view that really hasn't got as much attention as many of the other groups that represent many of the hostage families. So, but overall, a gut-wrenching scenario for Jews and Israelis, and really a time, I think, Jody, to be praying for the comfort of Israel, as it says in Isaiah chapter 40, comfort ye my people, but also praying for extraordinary wisdom for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and also President Trump as he comes in to take over in just a few days.
Absolutely. Chris Mitchell, Middle East Bureau Chief for CBN News, as always, an honor to have you on Washington Watch. Thank you so much, and we indeed will be praying and encouraging others to do the same. God bless you.